What's going on, YouTube? Now, we have reviewed this generation of the 4Runner several times at this point. However, Toyota always does a little something each year. 2019's change is quite obvious, so as you can see with this 4Runner, we now have a bold Nightshade package which you can add to the limited trim. Of course, we do want to especially thank our friends at Frankfurt Toyota for giving us access to this fully loaded 4Runner. And if you're in the market for any new Toyota, be sure to stop by their dealership or visit them via their website, which we provided a link to in the video description. The 4Runner continues to be a very popular SUV for Toyota, so let's go ahead and see what has kept people coming back. So starting out with the exterior design, this is probably the biggest reason for the 4Runner's continued appeal. Instead of feeling old, it has actually started to influence the design of other Toyotas, as you see with the new RAV4. Now there are several different versions of this face, so on your SR, everything is body colored with some black mesh. The TRDs add a silver lower portion, and then the Limited adds a large chrome piece through the middle. Since the Nightshade improves on the Limited, it uses dark chrome and blackens out all the badging. And the lower bumper is also finished in a metallic black. Turning to the headlights, they continue to be halogen projector beams across all models, and the same also goes for the halogen fog lights. You do have excellent ground clearance as expected, which really helps it to have a commanding stance. Moving to the side, the Nightshade Edition adds several more black accents that go well with this model's magnetic gray paint. And in case you're wondering, this model can only be ordered in black, gray, or white. Heading around back, again nothing has changed except the new black accents and branding. In addition to the black bumper, even the exhaust pipe is finished in a dark chrome. And finally, you will have partially LED taillights across all trims. But all in all, the 4Runner continues to have a rugged design that shows it means business, and the Nightshade accents simply add to that. Now finishing off the look are bold, fully black 20-inch alloys, while the standard Limited gets the same wheel design except with a silver contrast finish. All the other trims come with either one of two 17-inch wheel options. And then heading up to the mirrors, they are always heated and power adjusting, but you still can't get blind spot monitoring on any trim. Additionally, it is worth noting that the 4Runner cannot be had with Toyota Safety Sense systems, which I believe means it's the only model in the lineup without them at this point. As far as official testing, it scored good on most of the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety tests. However, it is rated marginal in the small front overlap test. Now a few other odds and ends to mention. All 4Runners have a full-size spare tire, and a tow rating of 5,000 pounds no matter which configuration you select. Up top, you'll find roof rails on all models, painted black on this version, and then you'll also find a 23-gallon fuel tank. Since every 4Runner does have the same combined fuel economy, they will all travel 414 miles on a tank of regular unleaded fuel. But anyways, that's it for the exterior changes to the Nightshade. So now let's see what that package adds on the inside. So all versions of the 4Runner will come with keyless entry. However, only the Limited trim will come with this smart entry system. You can also get a remote start system as an optional dealer accessory. Now to get inside the vehicle, all you have to do is grab the handle because there is a sensor. Alright, so checking out the cabin of the 2019 4Runner. As you can see, it continues to have that same boxy and masculine appearance as on the outside. Now as far as your different colors and materials, there are plenty to choose from. So on your base models, which would be your SR5 and your TRD Off-Road, those will come with cloth seating. Going up to the premium versions of those trims will get you Softex synthetic leather. And then when you get the limited trim, you will get this real leather. And then as far as your color options, all models come with black. You can also get a sand beige on most of the trims. And then when you go for the limited trim, you get an exclusive red interior color. Now on this specific Nightshade, as you would expect, the only option is black. Now turning over here to the door trim, as you can see, it is nicely appointed. The Nightshade, of course, is based on a limited, so you do have leather through all of the armrest, even on the very upper part, with some nice color contrast stitching. Over here on the door trim and in several places around the cabin, you will notice these special black accents all around. We do also have 4 fully automatic windows and 2-person memory seating on the limited trims. Now coming down here to the seat itself, it is 8-way power adjusting with 2-way lumbar support on the premium trims and the limited models. And then like I was saying, on the limited you do have real leather seating. It has a very nice premium feel to it, and again you have some nice color contrast stitching. Now in this specific model we don't have any running boards, however you can get some power deploying ones for $1,500. But getting in is not too difficult, despite, you know, this being a pretty tall vehicle. So for those of you familiar with the 4Runner's cabin, fundamentally this is the same for 2019. And that does mean the very durable feeling materials have carried over. So all of your upper dash is made from a hard touch plastic, but it does have this cool texture to it. And then moving down here to the middle, you will notice we have a special, looks to be a faux aluminum trim on the Nightshade model, but the normal limited would come with wood trim. Of course, as you can see, this is usually a piece of silver on the center console here, and on the Nightshade edition, once again, this is fully blacked out, as well as down here for this part and the shifter. And overall, like I said, everything in here just feels really solid and really durable. Now on the limited 4Runners, you just press the button to start. When you press that, you will see this 6.1-inch touch display fire up on all the trims. Now looking at your gauges, they continue to have the classic 4Runner look. So you've got fully analog gauges with the nice blue and red accents. You do also have a small multi-function display which can scroll through some basic information. And then coming back to the steering wheel, you actually have old school hydraulic power steering, which you don't see too often anymore. And surprisingly, you also have a leather wrap steering wheel standard across all the trims. And then like I already mentioned, we do have special Nightshade black accents. As far as the buttons, these are just your standard affair of phone and audio controls. And this button does control the multi-function display. Additionally, we do have regular cruise control on the 4Runner. As far as the steering wheel itself, it is manually tilt and telescoping, however heating is not available. But moving on to interior storage, the 4Runner has plenty, as you would expect. So to start out with your center console, we can open it up here. And as you can see, it is a very deep bin with a nice felt lining at the bottom. Also like that you have kind of different sections to separate your items, and you do have a 12-volt outlet as well. Up in front of that, you're going to notice a nice cup holder, as well as another small storage area, and then a second cup holder and another small area. And additionally, you have one more storage shelf here for would be good for your cell phone. You will also notice another USB port, or excuse me, a USB port, an aux jack, and a second 12-volt outlet. Moving back to the shifter, like I already mentioned, you do have the special black accents on the Nightshade. As you can see, it's just a traditional shifter, so you go back for drive, and you can come over here to the left to shift manually, though you won't find paddle shifters on any 4Runner. When we go into reverse, you will find a standard backup camera on all models. You do have distance markers, however, there is no active trajectory. But you will have parking sensors on the limited trims. Now back behind the shifter is where you'll find one of the 4Runner's signature features, which is the power rear window. So obviously this is something that none of the rivals, or really any other vehicles except I believe the Sequoia and the Tundra, offer at this point, and that's a really cool feature to have. This is standard on all 4Runners as well. Heading back over here, as far as other things you've got, you do have your 4-wheel drive controls right there. And then moving up from that, you will notice the dual zone automatic setup that comes on the Limited only. The other models do come with a manual climate control system. As you can see, you got these huge knobs and all physical buttons through here, so it's very easy to get used to. In addition to that, you will find 3-stage heated seats on the premium trims, and then going up to the Limited will get you the 3-stage ventilation. But anyways, now that brings us up to the audio system. So on the Limited trims, we have a 15-speaker JBL sound system. So let's go ahead and take a sample. I don't know if the audio equipment will be able to capture it, but this system has a lot of power to it and a lot of bass. But anyways, now that brings us to the Toyota Entune system. So we'll go ahead and take a quick look around this. Alrighty, so of course this is not the newest version of the Entune system. However, it does still have most of the same features. As you can see, you do have a home screen. And you can click into any of these sections to expand them, so you can play and pause through the standard Bluetooth audio right here. And when you hit applications, you can see all of your apps, including navigation. I believe navigation is standard on your premium and limited trims. Of course, you don't have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay right now. However, Toyota, just as in yesterday, confirmed that the 2020 4Runner will have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and Amazon Alexa. So if that's a big deal for you, you might be able to hold out for under a year at this point and be able to get that. You do also have XM satellite applications that are standard for the lifetime of the vehicle, and that includes traffic and weather updates. But anyways, that's the main features of the Entune system. However, we do have a tech help video available if you want to learn more about it. A link to that is provided in the video description. So heading up from the screen, we do have an auto-dimming mirror on most models, the premium and limited trims. And you do also have your 3 HomeLink universal remotes. Additionally, you will notice a few of your off-road controls up here as well. One thing you'll find on most of the 4Runners is a power moonroof. All but the base models come with this, and as you can see, it's actually a little bit larger than your typical moonroof, and it does come with a windscreen. But overall, I think that the 4Runner's cabin continues to fulfill its mission. Nowadays, real SUVs are hard to come by, and I think that the 4Runner continues to appeal to that person who wants to have that trucky, off-road capable SUV feel, while still not sacrificing luxury features. But anyways, now I'll go ahead and hand it off to Mason, who will finish up the rest of the cabin. So coming to the rear seat of the 2019 Toyota 4Runner, you're going to find a class competitive amount of space. You'll find 33 inches of rear legroom and 39 inches of rear headroom, which does place it a little bit behind the Jeep Grand Cherokee and Toyota Highlander. Now turning over here to the door trim, the 4Runner does finish it really nicely here in the Limited trim. So we do have a leather stitching where your arm will rest, as well as above it, and it even does have a stitching detail going through the top part. Now additionally, you will find your window switches up here on the top, and they are fully automatic. And you will also find this black trim throughout the rear areas as well on the Nightshade edition. In addition to that, you do have some cup holders down here at the bottom. And as far as the seat themselves are concerned, it's a really nice design. They're leather wrapped, and it does have perforation here in the rear, and they do also slide and recline. Now to get in, we do not have the running boards, so you just hop in. It's not too bad. Now in the center, Toyota does give you some features on the 4Runner. So all models will come with these standard rear air vents, and down below that you will also find two 12-volt power outlets standard across all trims of the 4Runner. Also, you will find a nice armrest. It does fold down. It's actually really large, and you do have two cup holders in the end. Up top, the headliner is a really soft design, and you do also have some lighting, as well as an assist grip and coat hook. Now as far as the rear legroom is concerned, behind Drew's position, I have tons of space. I don't really think that these measurements are too accurate because I have about 8 inches of rear legroom, and there are knee cutouts, and my feet can easily slide up under the seat, so I don't really think this car is as small as it's rated at. And sliding over, with the seat scooted all the way back, I still have probably about 4 inches of rear legroom, which is really nice for the class. So overall, I'm really impressed by the 4Runner's rear seat though. Overall, this car is very comfortable here in the rear, and Toyota does still give you some nice features. Now the seats of the 4Runner do fold, so it is a two-part mechanism, so all you have to do is find this little strap on the seat bottom, pull up, we'll release it, and then find the little tab here and fold that. In addition to that, you do fold this little headrest here, and it will fold. Now coming around to the trunk of the 4Runner, you actually will not find a power tailgate on any models, so you just have to walk up and grab this handle here, and it does fold up. Now as far as the rear space is concerned in the 4Runner, you're actually going to find a really large amount of space. So behind the second row seats, you're going to find 47 cubic feet, and with them folded, you will find 90 cubic feet as your maximum. Now it is also worth noting that there is a third row available. We do not have it on this particular model, but if you had that third row, you would have 9 cubic feet behind that. Now as far as the features are back here, you do have a household style outlet, which is really nice, and a 12-volt outlet. You will also find your subwoofer back here, and there is a little bin back here as well. Now under the floor itself, you actually cannot lift it up since this is a body-on-frame SUV, but overall this is a really nicely finished rear trunk. Now we will discuss the pricing here in just a minute. Now
Now the passenger seat is that same lovely design, and it is also 4-way power adjusting on this Limited trim. Now as far as the features are in front of the passenger, you do have a nice glove box. So when you push it, it does open right up, and as you can see, it does have plenty of space. Now up top we do have a sun visor. It does have some lighting and a mirror, and it does also detach, and it has an extension in the end. But anyway, guys, that pretty much sums up all I have to talk about for the rear areas of the 4Runner. So now let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain.
Alrighty, so let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain. Every 4Runner continues to be powered by just one engine option, and that is a 4-liter V6 making 270 horsepower and 278 pound-feet of torque. And then your engine is paired with a 5-speed automatic transmission. As far as the different drivetrains, there are a couple different choices. So on your SR5 and SR5 Premium and Limited, you have standard 2-wheel drive. Or you have an optional part-time 4-wheel drive system with a 2-speed transfer case. Now if you go for the TRD Off-Road or Off-Road Premium, you do have standard 4-wheel drive. That system is standard. Finally, you've got the Limited, which is a little different. It comes standard with 2-wheel drive, optional full-time 4-wheel drive with a 2-speed transfer case and a locking center differential. And when you choose the Nightshade package, it does check off 4-wheel drive automatically. And of course, since this is based on Limited, it does come with the upgraded 4-wheel drive system. Finally, for your fuel economy, you're looking at 18 combined, no matter which one you select, 4-wheel drive or 2-wheel drive. So let's go ahead and take it for a really brief drive. Now I do say really brief because we have practically no fuel, so we'll just drive around just for a second, give you all some quick impressions. As we talked about previously, this of course has been around for a while, and nothing has changed this year, so driving impressions from previous years do apply here as well. But yeah, taking off down the road here in the 4Runner, really feels like it has plenty of power off the line. You also just have a really commanding view of the road. It sets up really high, and you can just clearly see everything all around you. Great visibility.
Yeah, that's one of the first things that we noticed about the 4Runner when we got in, is just these windows are gigantic, and you have really tons of visibility, and it makes you have a very commanding presence. And while we're almost off-roading here, this car is very capable, so if you need that capability, this car has you covered. That's one of its main features.
Right, as we discussed, I mean, there's real SUVs are certainly a dying breed, and this is a full body on frame SUV with a lot of off-road capability, especially if you go for the off-roading trims. So if you're looking for that, there are not a lot of ways to get that besides the 4Runner, maybe Grand Cherokee, something like that.
Yeah, this is not your Highlander on stilts.
No.
This is a really capable SUV here. And it is also worth noting, though, that when we were driving down the road there for just a second, this is not a super uncomfortable car. Obviously it is off-road worthy, but It's also very comfortable. The seats are really nice. They're heated and ventilated, so you do have plenty of luxury features in addition to being capable.
Also noticing the transmission shifts out very smoothly. Seeing the number 5 on a 2019 car may make you a little skeptical, but I'm not noticing any type of, nothing about the transmission makes me feel like it's really too old or anything like that.
It's a very smooth transmission. It's just, it's not going to shift as much as a modern car because there aren't any.
Some people are not too interested in that one way or the other. But overall, like I was saying, throughout the whole video, I think the 4Runner definitely still has its place in the market. It is getting older at this point, for sure. But this is an area that basically the rivals have abandoned, more or less.
Yes.
So if this is, if you want that capability and that authentic, real SUV feel, this is definitely one of the only places you can get it at this point.
Alrighty, and as far as the pricing is concerned for the 2019 4Runner, you do have a class competitive pricing. So the starting MSRP is $35,100 for the SR5 trim. And if you want to upgrade to the SR5 Premium, it's going to ring you in at $36,940. The TRD Off-Road trim is $38,200. TRD Off-Road Premium is $40,100. The Limited trim is $43,400. And finally, you have this Limited Nightshade trim, which is $47,200. Now, I know that sounds like quite a big price gap between the Nightshade and the regular Limited, but that is because the Nightshade comes standard with the four-wheel drive system, and that adds $2,000 to the SR5, SR5 Premium, and the Limited trims, because they do not come standard with it. And then totaling it up, we do have a $1,095 destination charge, but for some reason Toyota adds on the sticker a $1,000 Keep It Wild savings discount or something instead of just deducting it from the regular price.
So exactly, from the sticker prices that he just read off, $1,000 will always be deducted from every trim of the 4Runner.
I'm not really sure why they did that.
I don't know why they don't just change the base price, but that's the way they do it.
And then total, this one is $47,295.
Well guys, we've enjoyed watching this in-depth look at the 2019 Toyota 4Runner Limited Nightshade Edition. Be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.